Hello, this is Mike at Gamefromscratch, and welcome to week 28 of This Week in Game Dev. A quick look at the news and events in the world of game development for the week ending May the 30th of 2016. Coincidentally, it was also Memorial Day for those of you in the US. Happy Memorial Day. For everyone else, sorry you got to work today. All right, without further ado, let's jump on in. Now, first thing that happened this week was CryEngine 5.1 source code was finally released on GitHub. This is one of those things they announced earlier that it was going to happen, that it was coming soon. Well, now it's here. So if you want to go through the source code for CryEngine, it is available on GitHub. And as always, I have a single link down below with all of these stories linked in it, so you don't need to pay a lot of attention to URLs up on screen or anything like that. They're all available down below. So anyways, it is available now on GitHub. There are pieces missing, specifically the console-specific pieces, Xbox One and PS4, for example. You need to have a developer license in order to access that aspect of the source code. Another release this week was WaveEngine, C-Sharp-based game engine for 2D, 3D games, just released version 2.2, codenamed Tiger Shark. This release brought a couple of new features along. Prefab support, Xbox One via Universal Window Platform, I think, possibly program. Anyways, UWP apps, HoloLens support in its very early form, Xamarin Workbook support. Xamarin Workbooks is like a sandbox for developing code. And finally, you can now deploy to Android from macOS. Now, if you're interested in learning, in the same link, I actually have a video I've done, a closer look at the WaveEngine. I did that about 6 months ago, so it should be fairly up to date. Another game engine release was Unreal Engine 4.12 Preview 5. Add some new features including foliage scalability, new animation node, and pixel inspector tool, which is actually kind of cool because you can actually click on any pixel on the screen and it'll tell you the material and the rendering state that actually went to making that pixel actually render. Neat ability. There are some important known issues. You must have editor symbols for debugging installed, and Google VR does not work in the launcher release, but works via the GitHub code. And of course, there are a number of bug fixes in this release. Now, on the topic of Unreal Engine, we also have a Unity engine release. There is nothing really special about this release, to be honest. Bunch of fixes, bunch of Windows Store changes, and that's about it. Valve released OpenVR 1.0.0 SDK this week. OpenVR is their open standard for programming games on VR headsets, specifically HTC Vive, but other headsets have actually announced support for OpenVR, so it's not just the Valve-powered or HTC Valve-powered headsets that are compatible here. Not a whole lot to the release, to be honest. Mostly API changes, etc. Another thing, ooh, you screwed up. All right. The Atomic Game Engine had an update. It now has Chromium WebView integration. Oh, I suppose I should say this. Atomic Game Engine is built on the Earl 3D game engine. It's JavaScript powered, and now via this update, TypeScript powered game engine with a 2D, 3D editor, etc. It's now MIT open source based. Other parts of this are there's now improved multiplayer support, including NAT punch-through, per project asset import settings, DXT texture compression support, JavaScript editor plugin support, as I said earlier, TypeScript integration, plugin or hooks in the editor so you can create extensions for it, and PBR rendering support as a work in progress, so physically based rendering. Another update this week on the topic of PBR is Houdini got Substance integration. Basically, you can now use Substance Painter and Designer results directly in the Houdini 3D application. You can see the results here that are applying Rust in real time inside of the Houdini engine. Now, Houdini is a 3D modeling and rendering and animation application with a very procedural bent. I'm not a really knowledgeable guy about it, but it's made by Side Effect Software if you want to check that out. Of course, Substance has been taking the world by storm lately. It makes Substance Painter and Substance Designer, and it's made by a company called Algorithmic. Now, next up, we have probably of absolutely no value to you right now, but RPG Maker MV is currently, or was currently, on free weekend this week on Steam and was available for half price. I think if you act right now, it's still on half price if you want it. RPG Maker is a JRPG focused game making package. It's actually been used to make several commercial games such as To the Moon. It switched in this version from being Ruby for your programming language to JavaScript, and a bunch of other features in this actual release. So that was up on Steam this weekend, so hopefully it's not too late if you're getting this now. Another release this week was Spriter. Spriter is a 2D bone-based animation system, very much like Spine I covered just a couple weeks ago. Spriter Release 8 brings a number of new features, including image packing dialog, remembering previous settings, added the ability to add padding around your sprite sheets, added the ability to embed sprite information into their saved files, added the ability to choose whether to save sprite sheet projects as either of the formats, changed overwrite defaults, so mostly smallish stuff, and a couple of bug fixes. Next up is Earl Sharp. I actually saw another release. Now, Earl Sharp is a port of Earl. Actually, it's making the news a lot this week. Earl 3D, which was a C++ based library. Earl Sharp was a mono bindings port of it by the Xamarin team. Now, originally, everyone kind of went, pfft, because Xamarin released it under a really stupid license. Basically, their license was, if you want to use this open source game engine, you have to use our technology with it. That has since been fixed. So this is a C# port of a C++ based 2D, 3D game engine. Definitely worth checking out if C# is your thing. Some new features, new extensions, etc. But nothing really earth-shattering there. It's interesting to see that this project is still going, especially now with Xamarin down under Microsoft's control. So there's an update there. And that's about it for this week. Short and sweet. A lot happened, but nothing really in-depth or worth jumping into for a lot of detail. If you enjoyed this, please click like. If you want more like this, I do one of these recaps every weekend, plus or minus a day. And I do all kinds of reviews, tutorials, you name it. Anything you're interested in game dev, we will probably cover it on this channel eventually. So if that sounds good to you, please consider subscribing. So that's it. See you all later. Bye.